Alright, it's time. Hello, hello. Welcome. Welcome to Rokkenjima. We are on Umineko episode 5 starting today. But before that, we got some dolls. I already know. Let people get in here, warm up with some dolls, get the brain wrinkled a little bit. Vandal today. Let's see. Vandal, 1990. 166 million listens. I have a feeling this might be Men in Black or something like that. That's well after 1990. Almost sounds like Let the Music Play. Get away. What is the name of that song? It's called Let the Music Play? No. Skip. Oh, this is, I know this. Hold on, I can get this. Is this... Dude, all I can think of is that parody video. The Bratislava, all the women in the world. Here's an idea. World peace. Like, that's all I can think of, but I think it's actually the song that's parodying. Hold on, let's get some strings. Oh, Vogue. I am disappointed that I did not get that earlier. A shame to my community that I did not get that earlier. I would not have gotten that in 1 and 2 though. Okay. Crossword. Iora. Soccer player's primary muscle. Calf. Member of an underwater colony. Mario's twin. No. They're not twins, are they? Fluster. Source of a buzz, with or without its last letter. 2-door car. Get up or come up. Arise. Lightly colored variety of 8 across. Move swiftly like a butterfly. Club. Fluster. Upset. Flit. Coral, beer, and lager. Nailed it. Not bad. Luigi or twin? Luigi was older. Connection. Steaming. Things that hams do. Ventilation. Luigi Mario, brother of Mario Mario. Oh, they're certainly brothers. What are they, twins? There's that old Mario Twins like Flash video that used to be on Newgrounds. Baking, steaming, boiling, eating. That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound right. That movie? Oh, the John Leguizamo flick? Yeah. That one's funny. Ranking, origami, poker, things to do with fold. Laundry. Things you fold. Position. Vivid. Ventilation. Air. Can you fold air? Eating, standing. Fold position. Ranking, boiling, station, fuming, conditioning, baking. Okay, things. Okay, hold on. Livid. boiling, steaming, fuming, angry. Boom. All right, we're chilling. Let's see. Standing, ranking, position. Station. Status. Poker, origami, laundry, and air. Folding. Crap. Baking? You fold in baking? Activities that involve folding. Hell yeah. Heating, ventilation, air conditioning. I don't know. Oh, that's HVAC. Okay, very cool. Foldle. Name a champion. Annie. Annie's a horrible guess. Nar. It's a male. Melee or ranged. Earlier than 2014. So all we got is male, not Yordle. Earlier than 2015. Tryndamere. Male. Oh, male, not a top. Male ranged. Male ranged before 2014. Not a top. Has a normal resource, it looks like. Not from Freljord. Yeah, Tryndamere is actually a really bad guess. Like, Malzahar. Okay, not middle. So male, bottom, probably. Ranged, mana. Came out after 2010. Male, bottom, ranged. Raven? No, not a human. Not a human. Not a Yordle, not a human. Ranged. Not a Yordle, not a human. Range. Male. Not a Void Being. Not a Yordle. I think who else there is. What other things are there? Not mid. It's not a Zir. Not a jungler, probably. I just need to look at some of these. Brand? Brand? Brand actually makes a lot of sense. Jungle or support? Oh, it could be a support. Came out after 2011. Is this Thresh? Yeah. Hold on. Quote me. Yep. Rammus. Ability. That is definitely Shaco. That is definitely his E. Nope, it's his W. Emoji. Sweat. Brand. Danger. Rumble. Nice. Easy. Flash art. This is on a lapped Seraphine. And this is KDA Seraphine, right? Or Seraphine Indie. Nailed it. I've tried Naruto before, by the way, and this thing is impossible. This thing is like, whose eye is this? Alright, framed. Airplane flying in the night sky. This is airplane. That's right? Oh, shit. Hell yeah. Got it in one, baby. Game Duel. No, I don't like this version of Game Duel. I like the keyword. No, not keywords. I like the guess one. Okay, let's do Naruto doll? Nah, I guess I just haven't watched so much. Let's do Naruto Clash of Ninja for this. Okay, it is split screen or single player. It is side view. Not action, not on the GameCube. Single player side view. Metroid. Super Metroid. No, it came out after 2003. So that will not be right. Metroid Dread. Okay, single player. Side view. So nailed that. It is on the Switch, but not exclusively. It is a shooter, a platformer, or an adventure game, and it is a science fiction game. What's that one game? I'm actually like giga confused right now. Sci-fi side scroller that was on the Switch. Sci-fi side view. Is it just a different Metroid? No, because it would say same franchise. Can't be Metroid, yeah. What's that one game? It's called like... It's that dude, like... It's kind of like Metroid. Wait, what if it's... Hollow Knight? Nope, still earlier than 2017. And that's fantasy more than sci-fi, which makes sense. It is either an adventure or a platformer, but not exclusively, per se. That desert Metroidvania? Dude, I'm trying to think of that one that's in like a space station. It's like a space station that's a Metroidvania. Honestly, they might have genre as Metroidvania. Hack and slash, beat 'em up, pinball, turn-based. No, they don't. Okay. I'm thinking it is a Metroidvania then. The desert game is 2019. Okay, so that's out. Bionic Commando. No, they went way back to the... Isn't it called, like, Rearmed? Not it, anyways. That is considered sci-fi, though. Yeah, it's not... That's not on here. But that would be a good guess. Can I get a hint? One-time clue. Yeah, gimme. It is from Daedalic Entertainment. I'm dead. I don't even freaking know who that is. That's supposed to... Let's just get it. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm not gonna get this. Okay, they won't let me guess the same games twice. Why is it only giving me these games? Okay. 3D Space Pinball? Pog? Yeah, okay, bro. I was gonna get that one for sure. Okay, Doku. Electric Legendary. Zapdos. Fire Legendary. Oh shit, we're cooked. Look at the middle category. Shit. Okay, Fire Legendary that isn't Zapdos. Groudon is ground, right? No. Fire Legendary. Entei. Boom. Wow, everyone said Entei. Ghost Legendary. Is Fluttermane Legendary? Shit's meta as hell. Ghost Legendary. Okay, we'll skip that. Fire Flying, you already know what it is. Oh, and then... Think you're so smart. That's gonna be wrong. Electric Flying is like... Dude, I only know Zapdos. Zapdos Galar is a trap. It's like, Galar is like fighting or something. Zapdos. We go. Okay, what's Unova? That's the Alolan, right? Don't even mess with me here. Alolan Ninetales? No, that's not. Out of the Spark League? Let's go, Blade. Unova. I don't know shit about Unova, dude. I need a Ghost Flying. Bird Ghost. Alright, it's over. It's over. I give up. We got 3. Good run. What was here? Emolga. Panzier, Calfragius. Yeah, okay. Zerom? Sure, dude. I believe you. Charizard G-Max? Oh yeah, Charizard is fire flying, isn't he? Thunderous Incarnate went hard in the left column. I guess he's electric and flying and legendary and from Unova. Necrozama Dawn? This looks like a Digimon, dude. Anyways. NFL. After getting drafted 4th overall of UCLA, this Hall of Fame offensive lineman spent his entire career with the Ravens. Jerry Travis Jervy. Jason Kidd played the final season of his career with the Eastern Conference team in 2012 to 2013. The Nets. When is the PS1 Digimon playthrough? I don't know. Poop warning. After top 3 Cy Young finish with the Rockies in 2010, Ubaldo Jimenez got traded midseason to this AL Central franchise, the Rockies. Books. Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy are the main characters from this famous 1813 novel written by author Jane Austen. This Little Women. Celebrity mashup. Oh, days. This is... Cameron Diaz. And I can picture this person. I'm trying to cover up the hair. This is probably so obvious. Is this Hank Schrader? What's his name? Dean something? Dean Norris? Is that his name? It's not Hank. I don't know. Ed Sheeran. Candy trademarked in 1954. Melts in your mouth, not in your hand is the slogan. M&M's. Hello? Television. For the Comedy Central cartoon, the same name in what U.S. state is the fictional town of South Park located? Oh, Colorado. Not slamming Tom Hanks. Is that Tom Hanks? Dude, oh, I bet it is. Damn it. Based on J.D. Vance's memoir, Ron Howard directed this critically acclaimed 2020 drama starring Gabrielle Vezzo, Amy Adams, Glenn Close, and Frida Pinto. J.D. Vance's memoir? Ron Howard. I don't know any Ron Howard joints. What did he do? Birdman. CeeLo Green and Danger Mouse formed the soul duo Gnarls Barkley. 3 correct. Let's go. We had Hillbilly Elegy. Never heard of it. We had Pride and Prejudice. That is obvious in hindsight. We had Tom Hanks, which was correct. So obvious. And Reese Witherspoon, which I did not know. Cleveland Guardians. These are never... Oh, it was New York, though. And then Jonathan Ogg. Okay. Umineko time. Episode 5, man. We are halfway through the series. Episode 5. End of the Golden Witch. I'm so locked in for Umineko. Last session was crazy. End of the Golden Witch. Good morning. Please enjoy this new game by a new game master at your leisure. However, the game has already reached a climax. The culprit has been cornered, and there's nothing left to do but await the final checkmate. But for that very reason, there must be something for you to spot looking down on it from afar. The difficulty is fairly easy. What could possibly deceive you after all this time? Lock in. The story is very obviously fictional and fantastic in nature. Any resemblance to existing individuals, organizations, locations, or incidents is entirely coincidental. They start everyone with that. Whoa. We're right into it, huh? Oh, wait. Something's wrong here. That's better. Holy, wait. What am I looking at? Alright, we got some reading to do. Let's see if I'll just read them if they're any different than what they normally said. He strongly moved. Yep, that's right. That's the same. 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 Yep. Yeah, all these are pretty much the same. The son of Rudolph and his first wife, Asumu. Wrong. When his father married his second wife shortly after Balor rebelled and went to live with his grandparents. On his mother's side, over both his grandparents passed away. Okay. Nope. Okay. Now over here, it looks like we have the chess game. But it's Beto and Bern Castell, and then Lambda Delta's down here. We got, what is all this? So, the Witch of Miracles, also known the witch who knows miracles don't occur. Yes, this is episode 5. The witch who knows the miracles don't. In the 5th game, she participates as a player in opposition to Beto. However, from the very beginning, her aim has been to deny the illusion of the witch. Her only goal is to crush Beto and her world as a way to starve off boredom. Though she does deny the illusion of the witch, she is no ally of Balor's. So she's Beto's opponent in the 5th game. The Golden Witch and Endless Witch, Beto's Peace, who speaks on behalf of the illusion of the witch. She claims that all the crimes on Rokkenjima were caused by the illusion of the witch. In the 5th game, she clashes with Baron Castell, who denies this illusion. Because she herself is nothing more than a piece, and the higher plane version of her has stepped down as game master, she isn't in a position where she can know the truth of the 5th game. This puts her in a different position than the one she held in the games before now. Oh, neat. The now retired Endless Witch, she used the Endless Magic, blah blah blah. She taught Beatrice the Endless Magic. Though she was Beatrice's teacher, she was also a magician employed by the family. by Beatrice's family. For that reason, she interacted with Beatrice in a manner fitting for a servant. Some point to this as the source of Beatrice's arrogance and recklessness. One of the 72 great demons, he is currently in contract with Beatrice as her butler. He's becoming proficient at housekeeping. So the high society of witches employing him has become a kind of status symbol. Furthermore, the cookies he bakes are superb. He must possess tremendous magical power, but he's always staying in the spotlight for the boost. Okay, whatever, that's the same. Gap is here. He has the extraordinary power for playing pranks. However, in the context of closed room, make sure the power becomes an ultimate weapon that can easily strike the finishing blow. Her queen bee straight. Yeah, okay. All these friends are here. Let's just see if Mamone is any differently listed. Whoops. 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 Nope, nothing new here. Ushiromiya Battler, the man designated to be Beto's opponent in the first 4 games. In the 5th game, he is displeased that Lambda Delta has taken over as the game master, so he does not participate as a player. Right, they said this is taking place like in medias res, so this is all the stuff that's happened thus far. So Battler's sitting out. Lambda Delta is the game master, which is the role Beatrice played before, and Beatrice and Berncastel are fighting. In the place of Beto, who stepped down from the position of Game Master in the 4th game, Lambda Delta serves as the new Game Master in the 5th game. Therefore, it is expected that while the 5th game may be quite similar to the previous ones, there will be differences. She hates boredom as much as Berncastel, and depending on the situation, she may become either an enemy or an ally to Beto or Bern. You idiot. Isn't it obvious? It'll be fun to kill her and see your face twist in pain. Why else? Look, look. Don't turn your eyes away. Look at it. Look. It's magic. It's furniture. No matter how much you try to deny me in magic. Look, look. Look, look, look. Sorry, Battler. It was pretty fun. Sure. I just did what teacher told me, but look how great it turned out. Apparently, if you start out all hostile and needlessly brutal, then turn incompetent and soft just at the right moment, you can spark a huge bump in your affection meter, right? That's the end of the 3rd game, right? She's so powerful, she's so based. The lonely tone was the desolate sound of the wind blowing by. The glittering rose petals on those bushes were all golden. The cloud of gold butterflies that had once danced through its golden rose garden like fluttering rose petals was no longer anywhere to be seen. The master of the Golden Land is the Golden Witch, Beatrice. She might even be called inhumane and cruel, arrogant and outrageous, or perhaps naive and simple. The laugh of hers, which lost its grace more and more the longer it continued, could no longer be heard. The Golden Witch Beatrice sat like a doll, resting in a deck chair adorned as beautifully as the Golden Rose Garden itself. She wasn't relaxing there. Her eyes were empty. She didn't respond to any question. Even so, she was not permitted to sleep. Beatrice sat like a doll. Her hair was down, and Virgilia was carefully tending to it with a comb. The usual Beto would surely have spent this time complaining about this, and then regarding her hair, and that regarding her hairstyle. However, she made no response, showed no reaction, so it really only looked like Virgilia was combing the golden hair of a large doll. There was a table alongside them. On it sat a chessboard, along with a jumble of black and white pieces, locked in a closely fought battle. However, this setup looked somehow different from normal chess. Maybe the game was similar, though not identical. And on the other side, sitting back in his chair as he contemplated his next move, was a young man. No, perhaps it wasn't his next move he was contemplating. Every once in a while, he would change the position of the pieces, reconsidering the situation after every change. Maybe he was reconstructing previous games, trying to discover the thought process behind the moves that had been made. In the past, Hinzo, the Ushiromiya family head, once said that learning chessboard arrangements was like taking a journey through the thoughts of the old masters. Ushiromiya Battler was on a journey, a search for the thought process that had led the Golden Witch to create this arrangement and make these moves. Battler took a black piece that should have moved forward and returned it to its original place, sighing deeply. Battler's pieces were white. However, on this chessboard, the black encampment was on Battler's side. He was reconstructing that arrangement, trying to play Beto's role. The more I do this, the less I understand your moves. Even Battler didn't expect that Beto would respond to that statement. Or rather, he was pretending to talk to himself, thinking there might still be some chance of her responding. What happened? Different Beatrice. Beto's eyes reflected nothing, and her mouth told nothing. After begging him to kill her, the Golden Witch had become a corpse that had given up on life. He wasn't sleeping. He couldn't step down from this game and was therefore forbidden sleep. So those words must have reached his ears. However, they probably hadn't reached her heart. Had reached her ears, excuse me. The Golden Witch would not sneer at Battler's moves, nor would she praise them or belittle them. By now, Beatrice was nothing more than a living doll. Even so, she would glance at him every once in a while. It would be an empty glance, but a glance nonetheless. Sometimes she would seem to make some sort of gesture, or even move her lips. However, her movements never managed to communicate anything to Battler. She is completely and utterly just done. She's completely devoid of care ever since Battler couldn't remember what happened 6 years ago. I don't get it at all. I don't understand your moves. Beto? Battler's talking to you. Hey, say something. Giggle, or guffaw, or something. Even use that shrill laugh of yours if you want. Can you believe it? That shrill laugh of Beto's will never be heard again. However, even if she couldn't answer, his voice surely reached her. That was what Battler believed as he said these words. So he said it again. How did you decide on this move in this situation? I don't get it at all. I don't understand your moves. So, you don't understand what this child is thinking? Virgilia answered in her disciple's stead. Up to this point, she had done her best to avoid speaking for Beto. After all, there was a chance that Beto would respond in some way, and Virgilia didn't want to be the one to steal that chance. The Battler was going to have to bear with this silence, until Beto herself answered. Virgilia could no longer bear to watch Battler like this. Besides, Battler also wanted to hear what Virgilia had to say. He believed that conversation would reach Beto's heart. Beto EXE has stopped working. Yeah, Beto needs a reset. Yep, I don't have a clue. The more I try standing in Beto's shoes and moving the pieces like this, the less I actually understand. A serial murder following an epitaph. With that as a victory condition, I tried reconstructing the games from the witch's side, but I never ended up making the moves she did. In those games, I could find several incomprehensible moves that clearly worked against that victory condition. I don't get it at all. This journey through her thoughts is just too rugged. Even so, you won't give up, will you? I won't. I promised. Kill me. Let me die. I promised to let her die peacefully, and I'm the only one who can do that. Beto's right ankle was bound with a heavy cold steel shackle. It wasn't tied to anything, so it didn't restrict her movement. However, it symbolized restriction. It was a visualization of the bonds that prevented her from leaving the game until she either won or lost. And the shackle was probably hurting her. Learned helplessness. The mercilessly cold shackle tormented her over and over inside her waking dream. So there was never any sign of relief in her empty expression. Her eyelids would sometimes tremble like she was having a nightmare, and every once in a while she would let out a pained gasp. Unless I win, Beto will never be released from the curse that prevents her from sleeping peacefully. Is it peaking? It's just starting. We're on episode 5, about 10 minutes in. You sure you want to be doing this? It seems the 5th game has already started. Not interested. Why should I take part in any game unless Beto is my opponent? If that's the only alternative, then it's a much better use of my time to reconstruct previous games while taking a journey in search of her thought process. I'll be the next game master. Any objections? You've got none, right? I've got nothing but objections. Beto conceded the fight and is unconscious. Isn't that a loss by default and game over for her? I'll admit a lot's happened to Beto, and she's basically been KO'd for now. But that doesn't mean she's lost the will to fight. That's why I'm acting as her assistant. Get it? Beto was laying down on a deck chair, almost as though she was sleeping. However, she wasn't sleeping, and she wasn't awake either. She was nothing more than a living doll that had given up on victory, who had asked Battler to perform her last rites, and who had surrendered everything. Of course, if everyone just sat around, the next game, the 5th game, would never be made ready. So Lambda Delta had succeeded Beto as the next game master and announced that she'd prepare the next game. Quit messing around. This is a game between me and Beto. I don't know who you two are, but I'm not going to let you carry on without us. Well, no one asked for your opinion. What do you do, Burn? Accept my challenge, or nay? Sure. Go ahead and inherit her role. What the hell? Quit messing around. I don't know who you people are, but I'm not going to let you ignore Beto and me, and just carry on by yourselves. Hey, take it easy. Okay, sure. A new player means you'll face new kinds of moves. I'm sure you'll see a lot of stuff that'll confuse you. But even that might lead to some big hints, get it? Who cares? Quit saying whatever you want and deciding everything on your own. Beto's game has repeated 4 times, and you still don't understand anything, right? In that case, I expect that swapping out opponents might lead to some huge hints. What does it mean, though? Like, what's the point of the game? That's none of your business. This is our game. Beto prepared it, and she designated me to be her opponent. I don't know what hole you two crept out of, but I don't want you screwing things up. In that case, wake Beto up and make her get the next game ready. Can you? Beto won't be getting up for a while. Anyway, we don't even need to have another game. The 4 games she's already laid out are more than enough. And even if we do have some 5th game, there's no reason it shouldn't just be a puzzle Beto lays out that I take on. There's absolutely no reason for you two to butt in. Battler couldn't hide his irritation at the 2 witches called Lambda Delta and Baron Castell, who had stolen up well after the game's start, and who were now trying to take charge on their own. It looked like these witches were of an even higher rank than Beto. So high, in fact, that even Beto's teacher Virgilia couldn't even come close. Battler had the feeling that he'd seen these 2 several times before. However, this was the first time he'd known their names and spoken to them directly. You can't get the next game ready without waking Beto. That's why I'll prepare the next game. We aren't so patient that we're willing to wait forever for Beto to regain consciousness. Right, Baron? I don't like boredom. It really ticks me off. Well, we really don't give a damn whether you're bored or not. Come now. Leave everything to this perfect Lambda Delta, okay? I'll take over as the game master. Don't worry. I won't play too much with absolute perfection. Just like Beto, I'll set up plenty of incomprehensible fakes, clues, and bonus hints. I'll make this game a huge hint that'll help you understand Beto's world even better, okay? Letting my voiceless emotions explode, I slammed the table hard. The 2 witches didn't flinch at all. One grinned. The other looked indifferent, as though nothing had happened. The 2 of them just stared at me silently, as though they were reproaching me. What's this? Not satisfied? Are you saying you'll step down from my 5th game? Isn't that a loss by default? Battler will not step down. Of course he'll participate in the 5th game. Hey, don't just decide that yourself. I'm not going to play along with you two. I don't give a shit. Then it really is a loss by default, huh? The witch's side wins this game. Really okay to end this with humans surrendering? If you step down, the game will end with your loss by default, get it? If you want to guarantee that your lonely sister always meets miserable circumstances in an endless number of worlds, that option is indeed open to you. When Baron Castell mentioned Angie, Balor's expression changed instantly. You bastard. Don't you dare talk about Angie so lightly. Because you have an ally in me, Baron Castell is the Witch of Miracles. There exists the possibility of a miracle in which Angie's family comes home to her. Well, if you throw that chance away and guarantee that Angie's endless futures all end in sorrow, that might be pretty interesting too. I vaguely understand what she was saying. Until I win Beto's game, I'll remain trapped in this bizarre world. If I abandon that victory, then most certainly, my parents and I will never return to Angie. For Angie's sake, even though I know the witches are toying with me, I must keep on fighting. Damn it. Hey, what's wrong? You look unsatisfied. Have you already forgotten how angry you were when your sister was turned into mincemeat? You know, that spectacle where she was torn to bits, ripped to bits by countless red-hot pliers? You better watch more closely next time, okay? Baron Castell pointed the palm of her right hand upwards. As she did, a pale light gathered there, and some kind of blue glowing crystal appeared there. A scene was reflected upon its sharp surface, but it wasn't the scene that surrounded them now. If you look deep into that crystal, that fragment, then you would probably learn what was reflected on there. If you stared at it, then you'd surely see an end Angie finally reached. After waiting 12 years and giving up everything for the sake of her beloved brother, the scene of her death throes, as her entire body was torn to bits while she still lived. Damn it. Without thinking, he grabbed at her collar, but as soon as he touched it, that which made up her form, it disappeared, like foam on the waves. Then, as naturally as though she'd been there from the beginning, Baron Castell was leaning against a distant wall. If you step down from the game, this will become not just a fragment, but a definite reality. I won't be the one to create that future. You'll do it yourself. So decide, okay? Figure out what you want to do with your beloved little sister's future. Balor's fist shook with anger, but even if he swung them down, he wouldn't be able to hit Baron Castell. This witch was like a phantom, or a cat, who wouldn't even let someone pet her if she didn't wish for it. And she was telling the truth. For Angie's sake, I can't step down from this fight, even if those unpleasant witches hijack the game board. That's just like you, Baron. You're even heartless when you threaten people. That's how it is, Balor. You aren't allowed to step down from this game board. You and Beto are nothing more than pieces on the board that exist to distract us from our boredom. Even your incomprehensible anger and irritation make for a wonderful treat to satisfy us. Well, what you're doing now only makes for a cheap snack, though. Like those curry-flavored potato wafers that sell for 30 yen a pair. Oh my god, they are obnoxious. You witches. Fight for Angie's sake, okay? And for Beto's too, right? In a way that was admonishing, or perhaps babying, like the headaches you get after eating something too sweet. Baron Castell tormented Balor and smiled. By now, the host of the tea party, Beto, was absent. The guest witches were already making themselves at home. What do you do, Shirmiya Balor? Will you surrender to fate? Just step down. You've had enough of being toyed with as the witch's piece, right? It sure is tough being one of Baron's pieces. I'm sure she'll use you and throw you away, just like she did with Angie. I'm not giving you the option of stepping down. Keep fighting for the sake of your sister's future. I'm your ally. Until you win, I'll support you, so you can reach that future. For all eternity, until I get bored. I can't let her provocation and cajolery rile me up. These witches know I get mad easily, and they're trying to take advantage of that. Balor withstood it all, and finally relaxed his clenched fists. You want to start this 5th game of yours? Go ahead and do it. Do whatever you want. I will do whatever I want. Hey, where are you going? Even though Balor acknowledged this 5th game, he turned his back on them, much to Lambda Delta's surprise. If you're going to be Beto's substitute, then I'm sure that Bernkastel Witch over there can stand in for me if she wants. Not a bad idea. Better than a loss by default. What? Are you gonna just ignore this episode 5 that I put so much effort into making? That's rude. Battler says he's gonna take a break for a while. Until he comes back, I'll be his substitute. How's that sound, Battler? Yeah, go ahead, do that. What's wrong, Lambda? So you'll refuse to play if it's against me instead of Battler? Of course not. I'm glad I get to play with you, Bern. Come, let's play then. Let's play together in Lambda Delta's super hyper cute episode 5. This technically is a world Beto created. You aren't going to ruin the atmosphere of the story, are you? Don't worry about that. I'm really good at reading between the lines for that sort of stuff. Okay, so this is Lambda Delta's world, and Lambda Delta and Bernkastel are the ones fighting. Strange. I made sure to use a Beto-ish atmosphere to make the tale that's even more interesting. Battler, make sure you come back as soon as your break's over, okay? It'd be a shame to miss this. I've set up plenty of bonus hints that'll get you closer to Beto's secrets. Or at least, that's what it'll look like when it's actually filled with misdirection that makes stuff more and more confusing. Wait, hey, Battler, why aren't you listening when a witch is talking? Without answering, Battler disappeared into the darkness. After shrugging and cackling, the witches immediately started playing with the game board they had stolen from Beto. Can those witches really understand Beto's game? Since they're using the same game board, they cannot do anything that this child cannot do. However, they can do things that this child wouldn't do. What do you mean things she wouldn't do? The materials of chess exist so that you can play chess. You cannot use them to play cards. However, when it comes to throwing chess pieces at your opponent and scribbling on the board and stuff like that, such things are not impossible to do. However, that would be blasphemy against the game of chess. So people choose not to do that. That definitely wouldn't be chess anymore. Beto's eyes seem to cloud slightly with sadness. Damn them. This game's between me and Beto. I won't let anyone else defile it. At that time, gold butterflies gathered and Renov appeared, holding the tea set with black tea. Would you like some more tea? If you wouldn't mind. Certainly. So, how goes the journey of yours in search of Milady's thoughts? I don't have a clue, but I'm enjoying it. However, are you sure about this? Is it truly alright for you to relax here? You mean the game those witches just started by themselves? Yeah. Just now when I went to serve them some tea, the murders of the first Twilight had already taken place. And it seemed as though the next murder would occur shortly. Oh, they're just getting after it. When Beto and I were playing, the game would be paused whenever someone left their seats. However, these witches wouldn't pause that game just because I wasn't around. Renov, did you see their game? Just a part of it. How was it? Renov lifted the pot high with an elegant gesture as he poured the black tea. After finishing that, he finally spoke. He gave us his impression of it. It did not have love. What do you mean love? My apologies. That is how a woman might put it. As a man, one might call it dishonorable. I understood what those words meant. When I met Fragilia's eyes, she shook her head slightly and stared at the floor. I believe it resembles Milady's games greatly, on the surface. However, its foundation is quite different. Does it go against the rules of Beto's game? No, it does not. Lambda Delta actually does understand the rules of Milady's game very well. However, Battler stood up. There was no need to make Renov say any more. Battler. Sorry, Renov. I know you went through all the trouble of pouring this for me, but tea isn't really what I need. So you will go, after all. Yeah. We don't need any outsiders in our game. These guys weren't even here in the beginning. Because I've been loafing around, crazier and crazier witches have been introduced. And since they've hijacked this game between me and Battler... And now they've hijacked this game between me and Beatrice. What am I talking about? I've got to take it back. Right now, I'm supposed to be the one taking care of Beto's game board. That means I can't just sit around here. Thank you. I wanted to let this child hear those words. I'm sure she hears them. Milady is simply unable to answer. Beto lay there silently, like a living doll with dull eyes. The game board she had created herself had been hijacked by incomprehensible people, and was likely being turned into a mess. If I was designated to be her opponent, then Beto must have created this game for me. I've got to take it back. Wait here. I'll go and take it back. Of course, Beto didn't respond in any way. That's right. If she can't respond, then I'll have to protect it in her place. I'll be right back. Virgilia? Renov? I'm counting on you two to look after the golden sleeping beauty. Yes. Leave it to us. See you later, Battler. And please, in the game without this child, try to find some part of her, if you can. That even this child is absent. Then even if this child is absent, it will mean you have fought with her. You're right. Ah. It's all useless. What am I doing? Let's go. And let's take it back. Sorry to keep you waiting, witches. My break is over. When he faced the jet black heavens and yelled this, the whole world shattered as though it was made out of thin glass. Then, as though it had been that way since the beginning, it transformed into that smoking room where Battler had fought Beto so many times, and which the two witches had now hijacked. What do you think you're doing? You're only coming back now? It's way too late. Not only has the game reached the second day, it's already at the finale. Get it? You never showed up, so I just kept advancing things on my own. Yeah, like you even waited for me in the first place. Byrne was way more skillful and thrilling than you were, right? Shut up. I'm the player. You substitute witches can just take a step back now. Well, I don't really mind if you join in starting now, but there's probably no need for you anymore. Seriously. After all, we're already at the climax. After this, Byrne will probably corner me and win. What? Nothing wrong with that, is there? Why don't we let him watch the final endgame? Sure. Come over, Ushimiya Battler. It's almost completely over. But here's the cute and elegant game I made. Episode 5. End of... End of the Golden Witch. Whoa. Okay, we're in. This is the same. Her corpse was found in the cousin's room in the second floor of the guest house. The direct cause of death is unknown, but her neck was sliced open by a sharp blade. The wound was deep enough that anyone could easily confirm her death with absolute certainty. George, Jessica, and Maria all died in the first Twilight. And they cut their necks open. His corpse was found in the guest room on the first floor of the mansion. The demon stake had pierced through his back. The tip of it reached as far as his lungs. She also got her neck cut. He also got his neck cut. October 5th, 1986. The second day. This is the end game already? Right now, no humans exist on this island except for those in this parlor. And with one exception, it has been shown that none of them have committed murder. And the culprit is among these people. Whoa, whoa. That means it's conclusive, isn't it? Oh, she's gonna make Battler the killer. Unless the culprit is a witch who committed murder with magic, that is. It was you. You killed George. Killed my husband. Why? I didn't kill anyone. Oh, they're blaming Natsuhi. I didn't. In a panic, and with a voice that was far from calm, in a manner that was, to put it coldly, unsightly, Aunt Natsuhi denied the suspicion placed upon her. However, there was no longer any way around it. She stood up, brushed back her long hair, pointed at Aunt Natsuhi, and said one more time, "Whoa, wait. Burn Castell in the real world?" Uh-oh. What's happening? You're the culprit. Ushimi and Natsuhi. Yeah, she looks cute. Here we go. Oh, shit. New intro? Holy man. Wait, this song goes hard. Thanks for the VODs, by the way. Ow, thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying them. We will have this documented forever. Holy shit, this goes hard. Barrier around Rokkenjima. Yeah, ally or enemy? I'm guessing enemy. Welcome to Rokkenjima. Eek. So, all eyes are on Natsuhi in this episode, which isn't terribly surprising because... Oh, wait, everyone's not dead. It's not too surprising that all eyes are on Natsuhi. It seemed like in the first episode, Natsuhi was really sus, right? So, like, we're kind of getting back to that. It's Natsuhi, please open up. As she knocked loudly and repeatedly, Natsuhi yelled. Shortly after, there was a heavy clunking sound, and the sound of the door to Kinzo's study unlocking could be heard. As the door opened, a heavily sweet, venomous odor flowed out. Oh yeah, the juice. Natsuhi was always ashamed of how she automatically grimaced at that, even though she thought it rude to the family head. Kraus was waiting for her inside the study. Natsuhi flew into his arms. His father, is he... Calm yourself. Dr. Nanjo's examining him now. Oh, this is where Kinzo's actually dead. With an uncertain gait, Natsuhi walked toward the center of the study, supported by Kraus. Does Genji take on the mantle of Kinzo? There, a dignified bed fitting for an Ushiromiya family head could be seen, along with Nanjo, Genji, and Kumasawa. Dr. Nanjo, is father... After sighing deeply, Nanjo left the side of the bed. On the bed, Kinzo could be seen lying down, asleep. He died peacefully. I don't think Kinzo-san had any regrets. Father. Sobbing, Natsuhi slumped over the chest of that man who had fallen into a sleep from which he would never awaken. Kinzo is dead. Madam, please stay strong. Father, this is just too sudden. Thank you for the head pats. Stretch, you got it. Natsuki couldn't stop crying over the death of the man whom she loved as a second father. Kumasawa rubbed Natsuki's back, consoling her. Kraus slumped into his late father's favorite chair. By sitting there, he might have been immersed in memories of his departed father. Or perhaps he thought that by sitting there, he might be able to understand just a bit of the madness in Kinzo's later years, which he had never been able to comprehend before. And Nanjo, just as he had when Kinzo once sat in that chair, contemplating a chess move, turned his back and looked down over the outside world through a crack in the curtains. If only he'd been sick in bed for a year or so first. I do wish he could have died after a grace period, during which the proper arrangements could have been made. It's the other way around. We should be glad that he was in high spirits until the very end. At least that's true as far as public appearances are concerned. Nanjo understood that as well. Ushirimiya Kinzo, who had risen like a comet and glittered like a supernova in the post-war business world, had died. His funeral would probably be of fantastic scale, and it would also be the ceremony marking Krauss's inheritance of the headship. He would have to arrange everything as the host of the event, carry out funeral diplomacy perfectly, and make it clear that all the Ushirimiya family still had enormous influence in the political and financial spheres. I'm actually going to take a moment to go refill my water. Sorry, I'll be right back. Okay, thank you for your patience. As Nanjo watched Kraus, he was vividly reminded of the time when Kinzo had been suddenly selected as the Ushirimiya family head. When Kinzo had been lost and confused. Welcome back, thank you. And this way he was able to understand Kraus's distress and sympathize with it. Natsuki's sobs eventually subsided. Watching this and leaving Kumasawa to care for Natsuki as a fellow woman, Genji returned to where Kraus was. And, as though asking what should be done, Genji lowered his head slightly. Genji and I will deal with the formalities. Kraus, perhaps you should contact the relatives first. Kraus, with his hands still over his eyes, didn't respond. Perhaps even though he had known this day would come, Kraus really couldn't hide his shock at how suddenly it had reached them. Leave this to Dr. Nanjo and me. Kraus-sama, I suggest that you first speak with Madam. Maybe she had heard that, or maybe it was a coincidence. As though responding to Genji's words, Natsuhi came over. Her eyes were red from crying so much. But she apparently understood the heavy responsibility that had been imposed on them, even better than Kraus did. Starting now, you are the head of the glorious Ushirimiya family. Let us show everyone, inside and out, that you have splendidly succeeded your father. As your wife, I, Natsuhi, am prepared to serve you until the day your coffins are laid down alongside each other. Trying to encourage her husband, who was overcome with shock, Natsuhi lent him some reassuring words. When Kraus finally lowered the hands that had been covering his face, he looked up at the ceiling with a blank expression and let out a deep, deep sigh. Please, stay strong. There are a great many people who will plan to devour everything Father has left behind. We must fight to protect Father's honor and wealth. Hold on. I gotta check one more thing, sorry. Sorry. I had that really nagging feeling that I forgot to close the door, but I didn't. That is the first responsibility the Ushirimiya had. I understand. I do understand. Nanjo, Genji, please take care of the legal and funeral arrangements. Especially you, Genji. I ask that you take a particular care and see that the funeral will be a fitting one for Father. Certainly. And Dr. Nanjo, Father didn't pass away in a hospital, so... Indeed. An autopsy might be required, depending on circumstances. Can't you do something about that? Even though he passed away, Father's body is precious. Any damage done to it would not be acceptable. I understand how you feel. However, it is also important to deal with these matters properly. And, I don't really know how to say this, but several of the relatives might make things difficult, yes? Who knew that those vultures after the inheritance might try to find fault with them? How they would. They might claim that they have found some reason to suspect the cause of death, using that as a point of contention to start some trouble. Right now it was important not only to pay Kinzo's remains the respect they were due, but also to solidify the position of the new family head, Kraus. Understood. Please, keep it to an absolute minimum. Make sure the Father's dignity is not damaged, even by mistake. That will be fine. Do not worry. In any event, leave Kinzo-san to us and stay by Kraus-san's side. Things will start to get quite difficult from here on. I understand. You too, dear. Please, stay strong. Kraus was still staring blankly at the ceiling with a befuddled expression on his face. She understood the shock and heavy responsibility he bore. Natsuhi understood her husband's feelings as much as anyone. I will contact the relatives. Please, rest for the time being. Kraus did not respond. Natsuhi, thinking him to be just a bit unreliable at the moment, decided she must offer her support. Seeing her husband like this actually spurred Natsuhi to action, and a resolute expression rose to her face. Things will get busy from now on. Let's start by doing whatever we can right now. I'm sure my husband wants to have some time alone with Father. We should step out for a moment. Good point. After all, this will probably be the last time he gets that chance. Being in charge of a funeral is tiring work. There's no time to shed tears. If Kraus were ever to be given time to cry for his dead father, that time would have to be now. Everyone agreed with Kumasawa's words. Even so, Kraus continued to blankly gaze up at the ceiling and didn't respond in any way. Natsuhi urged the servants to go. I'll go talk to Jessica too. That child is now the successor to the headship. I'll make sure to tell her to be fully prepared. Wait. As they each started to make their way out of the study, Kraus finally spoke. This reminds me of in episode 1, when Kraus showed Natsuhi the 1 gold bar, right? Remember that inexplicable scene where he randomly showed her 1 gold bar? I wonder if that's now. They stopped walking. Wait. Yeah? Hadn't she already stopped walking just like her husband had asked? But despite that, he told her once again to wait. From those slightly weak words, Natsuhi understood that he'd probably stopped her because he wanted her to be by his side. The rest of you, downstairs. I will stay with my husband. Please, call us on the phone if anything happens. Certainly. Oh, whoa. I thought I told you to wait. When Kraus suddenly raised his voice, everyone jumped and turned around. Unable to comprehend what she had done to spark her husband's wrath, Natsuhi ran up to him. What's wrong, dear? Have I said something rude? If so, please forgive me. No, that's not it. That's not it. Wait a second. Just give me some time. Yeah, I understand. It's important to sort things out inside your heart. We're just going to leave this place in silence to give you some time, okay? And I'm telling you to wait before doing that. Listen up. No one move. Not even an inch. If you're tired, then feel free to sit in whatever chair or sofa you want. Just stay quiet and don't talk. Don't do anything. Those unreasonable words felt like a glimpse of how Kinzo used to be. Natsuhi couldn't hide her slight surprise at this behavior, which almost made it seem as though Kinzo had possessed her husband. Natsuhi told the servants to wait for the time being. She ordered them to sit on a sofa a short distance off, approached her husband, and spoke to him in a small voice. If you order it, I will wait however long you ask. I won't move. So please, try and calm yourself. No, that's not it. That's not it. Was it really blood? Or was he actually being possessed? Kraus's disorderly style of speech strongly resembled Kinzo's. As she watched this, Natsuhi became certain that Kraus was Kinzo's son after all, and that he was the true successor, more suitable than any other person. Natsuhi, come here. Kraus stood up and headed toward the window, trying to lengthen the distance between himself and the servants waiting on the sofa by even a small amount. Natsuhi realized that he must have had something secret to discuss. What's up? Yes, dear, what else? What is it? Father dying is bad. Wow. But he already passed away. We can't turn back time. That's not it. It's bad that it happened now. Why is that? I've been putting father's fortune up as collateral. Oh, shit. I won't be able to hide it when the division of the inheritance comes into question. What? Collateral, you say? How much? You remember how I helped out Kondo-kun back in Melodyland? Don't tell me... Didn't I tell you to break ties with that person? I thought you said you'd refused him. Why? There is such a thing as a man's honor. Oh no. I couldn't refuse. Kraus claimed to hold honor as a virtue. However, Natsuhi knew that he most often used this as an excuse for when he reluctantly went along with some deal that he just couldn't refuse. That wouldn't be a problem if we had plenty of money on hand. But didn't you borrow quite a lot of money for the plan to turn this island into a resort? Yeah, I did. And there were people here and there who lent me a hand along the way. If I'm gonna repay them, I can't just sit around on my hands. You need money to repay people. That's more wise words from Kraus there. You need money to make money. That's also so true. You can't even get started without money. He knows, dude. He knows the system sucks. And even if the plan for the island would be proceeding smoothly, if only there hadn't been problems with the planning company. I made contact with a government official in the city. I even got the governor's word that this would become the newest travel destination in the Tokyo metropolis. The groundwork I laid was completely perfect. Random chance and bad timing were against me. It was just a bit of bad luck. Like a traffic accident. That was no accident. It was fraud. You were tricked. They were never drawing up plans for turning this island into a resort in the first place.
You're fine. You're not really fine. You just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I thought that was in the game. That's so good. I was like, who's talking? It's not true. Ichikata-kun's vision was simply overflowing with foresight. The way his eyes always focused on the whole world and the future taught me that things I always believed to be mere dreams were only the tip of the iceberg of what's possible. Expand your dreams to the whole world, to the future. You heard him say that too, right? Yeah, I heard. And I think I remember telling you what I thought after we returned home. I said that he was suspicious, that he only spoke of dreams and didn't have his feet planted on the ground, and that you must not have any further relations with him. Ichikata is a wonderful, pleasant young man. One could learn a lot from the way he lives. I can respect him despite his youth. I won't have you insulting him. That's what you said about the whole moon tourism. Moon tourism? Wait. Who said... This is a Shaylee thing, right? Moon tourism? I feel like Shaylee talked about this as part of the peak. You kept saying it was a visionary, and he looked to the future, that it had high aspirations, and what was the end result? Eventually, you yourself admitted that it was utter nonsense, right? I wasn't sure something was wrong ever since that strange man showed up claiming to be a high-ranking NASA official. Dude, they got scammed! To the moon? That foreigner was nothing more than an international swindler. Both Mr. Sonozaki and I were victims in that case. Right now, his vision isn't mistaken. In the future, there will surely come a time when the richest people in the world develop a liking for space travel. This game is visionary, dude. When was this made? They're literally painting a picture of Elon Musk. And the very first enterprise in that area will probably be monopolized by a single private company. He wanted to invest in moon tourism. Yeah. He did. Isn't that, like, happening now? He's way ahead of his time. That viewpoint is not mistaken. There was simply a group of international swindlers who were trying to take advantage of the fact and deceive investors across the world. Kinda, not really. And I'm trying to tell you that the Sonozaki man was one of them too. Maybe I'm thinking of a movie. Just how gullible are you? Why do you always just accept those suspicious offers without any doubts? Take that back. Mr. Sonozaki is a man with a brilliant future ahead of him. I think Krause is just a visionary. Yeah, like, he gets it, dude. There's nothing suspicious about him. Because the dream he speaks of anticipate the future. They sound crazy to people who can't see into the future. A woman like you can't see into the future. Yes, a woman like me can't see into the future. But I can see the present. Right in front of me, I can see a pitiful husband who's been taken in by sly, double-crossing swindlers, and still trust them implicitly even after he's been tricked. Hey, shut your mouth. You don't understand anything about money or business or economics. Big Bang Theory laugh track. Don't try to butt in on your husband's job. Penny. Women can't do finance. A wife should be satisfied with doing housework. Oh, come on, Krause. Come on, Krause. Without another word, Nazi fell silent, just as Krause had hoped she would. He was already far beyond anger and sadness, and the emotion that lay on the other side of those was an almost indifferent pity. Krause, who had been in awe of Kinzo since he was very young, had started to subconsciously admire the way his father lived. Yeah, so much, he literally flipped that on his head. Without realizing it, he had come to believe that he could only be recognized as a man in his own right if he surpassed his father. However, Kinzo had been a mad genius, the likes of which had never before been seen in the Ushirimiya family's long history. That talent was a gift from heaven, and it definitely wasn't genetic, much less something that could be learned. Gotta be born with it. To give the two of them a chance to talk alone, Natsuhi told the servants not to tell anyone about Kinzo's death, and they left the room for the time being. Then, she invited Krause to her bedroom, and made him tell her everything about their current financial situation. These were the things that Natsuhi hadn't been told about, under the assumption that a woman had no business knowing. Natsuhi had herself made a point of avoiding this area in the past, thinking that it wasn't a wife's place to intrude on such matters. Let's see, if it weren't for the fact that father's got the amount of stuff I have to deal with, I would divorce and kept Jessica. No shot Natsuhi would divorce. The social stigma on that would go way too hard. However, this might also have meant that she had abandoned her duty as a wife to protect her family. In the depths of this sin had been made quite clear to Natsuhi. Krause was probably tired of trying to defend himself. Perhaps because he had gotten a headache, he hid his face and sank into silence. Natsuhi noticed that water in the electric kettle was boiling and stood up to refill the cup with black tea. When she touched the cup of black tea, she noticed for the first time the sound of the cup and saucer clanking together told her that her fingers were shaking. Krause had built up a large debt to obtain funds for his various projects and to cover the losses when they failed. Of course, he had put the mansion and property up as collateral. However, doing such a thing above board would result in the mortgage being registered. In other words, there would be a record that Kraus had put Kinzo's wealth up as collateral to obtain a loan without anyone's permission. Kinzo, Ave, and the others must not learn of such a thing. Therefore, Kraus had been putting these assets up as collateral using the worst possible method. Cash for gold! I signed over the deeds and power of attorney. And what does that mean? What Kraus was saying probably meant that he had, in essence, signed away the rights to his rights to these assets. If these assets had been used as collateral for a loan, then Kraus would still have some leeway under the law. He would have to deal with a bank, which would have absolutely no compassion. But they would be able to work something out with the rules set by society. However, signing away the deed and power of attorney was a whole different story. In other words, even the mansion they were living in. If the person holding the deed were to decide to ignore this agreement with Kraus and sell the mansion to a third party right at this moment, they would have no recourse whatsoever. Far from using collateral for a loan, this was basically the same as selling their house to borrow money. In other words, the money lenders have the power to make or break the Ushiromiya family as they please. If they were to suddenly sell our house on some slight whim, we'd have to pack our bags and leave right now, wouldn't we? That is technically true. However, everyone I've had dealings with is very reputable. This isn't customer financing. It is a transaction based on trust between economically literate men. I trust them, and they in turn trust that by lending me money, I will achieve great success in business and give them massive returns on their investment. I signed over the power of attorney as a sign of good faith, and so that they wouldn't have to doubt in the certain success of my business. What happens if I hesitate now? Wouldn't that mean even I have no confidence in my own business? If you were such a successful businessman, we wouldn't be in debt now, would we? Natsuki only barely stopped herself from saying that. Father is dead. What happens next? Will your debt be exposed to the light of day? And will your siblings hold you responsible? That won't be all. It will probably lead to criminal charges. Criminal charges? Why is that? It's better if you don't know. Anyway, this must not be learned of by anyone. Kraus looked at the floor shamefully, shaking his head over and over. If it would come to criminal charges, then he must have broken some laws. He's probably been so intent on raising a large sum of money that nothing had mattered to him but survival. Kraus had seriously believed that he would succeed with several businesses, and that he would definitely gain huge profits. So he had figured out that even if he stepped over a few legal lines, he would probably be able to pay everything back for too long and pretend like the whole thing had never happened. Yeah, dude. This may have been the factor that lessened his resistance towards breaking a couple laws. And now Kinzo's death, the worst possible thing had occurred. And they wouldn't be able to keep it all hidden for long. What will happen to us? There's no need to worry. You may not believe it, but conditions are most certainly on the rise now. The value of the city real estate I invested in will rise rapidly. He's just a crypto bro, dude. Right now I'm working on a project to integrate those and construct a massive business tower. This will be the most reliable of all my investments so far, and will prove to be the most successful. However, it will take a little more time for that to bear fruit. It's absolutely certain. But that doesn't mean it will happen now. Will the success of that venture be enough to back our debts? Yeah, he would definitely have bored apes. This is my Beatrice ape. Of course it will. I'll be able to wipe out all the debt I've accumulated so far. She's golden. Look, I got a golden Beatrice ape. So have faith in me. I only need a little more time. But Father's already dead. We don't have that kind of time anymore, do we? I know that. I know that. That's why I have to obtain money from somewhere and pay off those debts right now. Anyway, I need money. Money, and a lot of it, right now. Oh god, Kraus. Kraus, no. As Kraus roared and clutched his head, he writhed as if in pain. As she watched, several emotions swirled about in Natsuki's chest. Her emotions conflicted as she felt pity for her husband, while also feeling that he was a fool. And she felt a mixture of resentment and regret towards her own irresponsibility in letting her husband run wild for so long. Even if this day hadn't come, it should have been clear that they were in a very critical situation. And yet, he had carelessly waited for this moment to come, and was now writhing about. Her husband was so foolish and so pitiful. It would be easy to let herself get fed up with this. However, she was his wife. For a wife, ridiculing her husband as a fool would run in conflict with her responsibilities. If he was a fool, then she would have to support him enough to compensate. However, she didn't have a clue what she should do. Since there had been such a massive amount of money within arm's reach, it was only natural that Kraus had tried to dip his hands into it. It would also be easy to tell him to be a man and give up on all of it, but it would also run in conflict with her responsibilities. She was Uchiromiya Natsuhi, the woman who had become Kraus's wife and sworn to support him, the new head of the Uchiromiya family for her whole life. She had to somehow help her husband in his efforts to raise money. She understood it logically, but she couldn't suppress the indescribable dejection that seemed to rise up from the dark depths of her heart. That's right. Father's hidden gold. 10 tons of gold is worth 20 billion yen. If I had that, all of our problems would be solved. Natsuhi, that's it. The witch's epitaph. Let's solve it. Let's solve it together. If we can find the gold, everything will work itself out. That's right. It must be hidden somewhere on this island. If we had that. If we only had that. That hurts, dear. Please stop it. Kraus, acting as excited as if he'd caught up in a perfect, brilliant plan, grasped Natsuhi's arm tightly. Steve, my arm! Natsuhi couldn't help but be dumbfounded. She wasn't just taken aback because she'd heard him bringing up something as fake-sounding as the hidden gold. This was Kraus, who usually mocked the story of the gold, saying that it didn't exist, that it was all an illusion his father had created to borrow a lot of money. That was why Natsuhi was doubly taken aback. Yes, let's have Jessica help too. Maybe some things can only be solved with a child's sensitivity. This is a family crisis. All of us have to stick together. Yes, it's a fanciful riddle the father created. We should be able to solve it, and there's no reason we wouldn't be able to solve it. It's the only way. Oh, Natsuhi, this is wonderful. We still have an option left and right here next to us. The gold is on this island. If we had it, every one of our problems will be solved. Oh, he's gone mad. Hold on. Sorry, chat. I just keep getting messages. I might have to cut the stream short tonight. Atsuhi Triche? Maybe. Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting buzzed a bunch right now. I'm gonna probably finish this chapter and then call the stream. I know it's a little short tonight, but we'll pick back up tomorrow. I just gotta tend to some stuff. Call Jessica right away. Let's overcome this family crisis together. Yes, right now. The gold is on the island. It's right beside us. What? Unable to withstand the pain in the arm he was twisting in his excitement, Natsuhi knocked Kraus aside. Kraus tripped over the edge of the bed and flopped over to the floor. Please get a hold of yourself. And please, calm down. Do you really think that this Uchiromiya family crisis could be solved by something as dreamlike as that? Natsuhi, please, cool your head and think of a realistic plan to gather money. I'm gonna cool my head as well. Oh, he did show her the gold. Wait, Natsuhi. Maybe he had come to his senses the instant he fell over. Kraus tried to tell Natsuhi to stop, but she just kept walking. After closing the door forcefully, Natsuhi dashed away. Natsuhi ran through the corridor. Even though she didn't want anyone to see her like this, she ran headlong into Genji. My deepest apologies. Madam, have you been injured? I'm fine. Leave me alone. Certainly. Oh, Genji. How are things going in Father's study? It's just as you left it. Although Dr. Nanjo is in the parlor. That's so. You have the key to that study? Yes. Right here. Give it to me. Let me have some time alone with Father. If my husband asks where I am, tell him you don't know. Interesting. She's going to the study. After grabbing the key to the study that Genji was holding out to her, Natsuhi rushed up the stairs. Natsuhi is looking a little mastermindy here. Then she flew into the study, finally let out a wail and cried. Father, please forgive our foolishness. My husband and I aren't capable of inheriting all that you created. Please, please, forgive us for our foolishness and our crimes. And if you cannot forgive us, please guide the way for us fools. Clinging to Kinzo as he slept in the bed, Natsuhi cried even harder. She kept imagining Kinzo sitting up suddenly and patting her head. No. Father isn't the type of person to pamper. More likely, he'd yell at me to stop being so noisy. However, neither of these imaginations came true, because it was an undeniable fact that Kinzo had entered an eternal sleep. But even so, Natsuhi begged the sleeping Kinzo to forgive and help them. It was still only a few hours after his passing. Perhaps his soul was still here, listening to her. Believing this, Natsuhi begged for Kinzo's forgiveness and help even more earnestly. Whoa, too noisy. Haven't I always said that I hold silence as a virtue? Pause. That voice made Natsuhi jump up in surprise. Natsuhi having a moment here. When she faced the direction the voice had come from, she saw Kinzo sitting at his study desk, folding up his reading glasses. Did you get in a fight with Kraus again? Neglecting his wife like that. That Kraus only inherited my bad traits. Yeah, this is Natsuhi. Natsuhi imagining this. Father, what a wretched-looking face. Wash it. Aren't you the wife of the successor of the Ushirimiya family? You mustn't let the servants see you wear such a shameful expression. Yes, Father. My apologies. Natsuhi understood. This was just an illusion, one that Natsuhi had created out of her desire to speak with a memory of Kinzo as he once was. No, that wasn't it. She believed that just for now, Kinzo's soul had shown itself to her. She was sure that doubting this would cause it to vanish in an instant. It seems that at the instant the family headship was passed on, the family has reached a crisis. Yes, Father. I wasn't able to support my husband. I am truly very sorry. The Ushirimiya family is so very cursed. It was in a terrible state when I succeeded the headship too. That makes your suffering seem almost cute in comparison. Kinzo's succession to the family headship had come suddenly. At the time, he had been nothing more than a single young man from a branch family, far separated from the Ushirimiya main family. The main family might not have had honor and tradition, but Kinzo had nothing to do with that. Then, the principal members of the main family were wiped out in the Great Kanto earthquake, along with their businesses. On top of that, there had been a complicated antagonism between the members of the family at the time, and the elders had all tried to impose their will on the others in that sinking ship. This is interesting. This is essentially what happens on Rokkenjima. It's not a natural disaster that kills everybody in contention for the headship, but everyone does die. I wonder if Natsuhi takes this to heart and does kill everyone. I think Natsuhi just did it in this episode. Because of this, they weren't even able to elect a leader to revive the Ushirimiya family. Then they found a common ground and selected Kinzo, a youth with absolutely no ties to any of the opposing elders, to be the head. So the elders hadn't really entrusted Kinzo with the rebuilding of the Ushirimiya family. Kinzo had been nothing more than their puppet, with his arms and legs pulled in opposite directions. Yeah, I know a lot about your days of suffering, Father. And then the war started. At the time, I was already tired of life. I hoped I would die on the battlefield, but I wasn't sent to the front lines. However, the state of war grew worse with every day, and the time for the decisive battle on the Japanese mainland seemed to grow even closer. As terrible as it may sound, I prayed for that day to come quickly. After listening to the approaching footsteps of that Reaper day in and day out, it is said that Kinzo started cutting his ties with the world one by one. And then, on that day when he had severed all of his regrets, when he reached the state of enlightenment, it is said that he had a mystical experience. It is said that he met her, the golden witch Beatrice. I made a contract with the witch and was given the power of gold and madness. On that day, the old me died, and a new me possessing the insane power of magic was born. I know. And after the war, you used your ingenious cunning to revive the family. The now deceased elders who knew Kinzo at the time had whispered to each other that Kinzo must have bumped his head on the battlefield and returned with a different personality. That was how much Kinzo had stood out after the war. Whether the story about Kinzo meeting a witch was true or not, There could be no doubt that the extraordinary experience of war had prepared him for death and let him reach a state of enlightenment. If he wanted to describe the mystical experience following all that as a meeting with a witch, that claim certainly couldn't be dismissed out of hand. That's right. You returned from the war, conquered the witch Beatrice, and became the head of the Ushirimiya family in the truest sense. Correct. Before I met Beatrice, I was nothing more than a puppet, only the head in name. I only became the head after conquering the Golden Witch. Father, will this Golden Witch aid my husband Kraus, now that he's the new head? Oh, she will. Assuming that he has truly succeeded the headship. What do you mean by truly? I mean it depends on whether he bears the responsibility and pride of the Ushirimiya family head, in the truest sense. Natsuhi, you should understand this. The headship is not inherited by blood. It is inherited through spirit and conviction. Even though Kraus is my eldest son, he cannot be called the true head if he does not possess these things. And if the spirit were to dwell in a human, even someone other than Kraus, they would make a splendid new head. Beatrice will lend her power to that true head. Isn't that right, Beatrice? This is the Beatrice that's a piece on the board, though. When Kinzo called the witch's name... This is so touching and hard to process based on what happened last episode. Yeah, it's hard to process all of this with everything that happened, for sure. When Kinzo called the witch's name, gold butterflies seethed out of every corner of the room. The fantastical scene had an otherworldly beauty to it. It was like standing in the midst of a blizzard of golden flower petals being blown about a rose garden of gold. As Natsuhi stared at the scene in shock, the gold butterflies gathered and formed a human shape. Oh my god, she's here. Then the witch of the portrait appeared. Indeed, I am the Ushirimiya family alchemist, the Golden Witch Beatrice. I am free to run rampant. I listen to no one's orders. And there's only one person in the world who can control her. Me. That is why I am qualified to be the head. So it is that pride of yours that qualifies you? Pride requires self-confidence and bravery. And it is the embodiment of the insatiable desire to gain power to match those traits. That's why I control you. Watching men who speak of pride turn those desires into reality can be quite pleasant. The quiet man of action is nothing more than an excuse used by the extremely lucky. A true monarch also speaks of what he doesn't have, and he makes the pride a reality without fail. If one is to control me, they must possess such a monarch's pride. You understand, Natsuhi? A true monarch fears no hardship. They declare that each other will overcome anything without fair. They declare that they will overcome anything without fail, even if they haven't yet figured out how. That gives hope to the weak. They gather, revere the monarch, and swear to assist him. This is where power is gained and his word is carried out. Engrave that into your heart. Yes, Father. Natsuhi understood. Through this mystical experience, Kinzo was telling her how to prepare herself to overcome hardship, even after his own death. Feeling a warm sensation rise up in her chest, she let the valuable words Kinzo had given her echo through her mind over and over. A true monarch. In other words, the true head of the Ushirimiya family must not fear hardship. Such a person must believe they can overcome any hardship. If they can't even believe it about themselves, then they'll have no chance of overcoming their challenges. She suddenly felt very ashamed of the way she'd entered this room, sobbing and asking Kinzo what to do. I was foolish. Of course there's no time for crying when an Ushirimiya family crisis is upon us. And now that we have inherited the Ushirimiya family from you, Father, we must protect its honor no matter what. Oh, even though you can't draw a blueprint on how to repay Kraus's debts? Beatrice laughed unpleasantly. No, that wasn't it. She was testing Natsuhi to see whether she possessed the mental readiness to be a true monarch. Natsuhi wasn't confused anymore. She answered clearly, gazing into Beatrice's eyes. Yes, at this moment, I have not yet discovered the method we should pursue. However, my husband is the new head of the Ushirimiya family, and I am his supporting wife. So, I will proclaim it in my husband's place. Let us hear it. Ushumiya Kraus and Natsuhi will definitely overcome these trials and protect the honor of the Ushumiya family. You have nothing to worry about, father. Do you know the scope of Kraus's debt, as well as the horrible state things are in? I do. If the worst happens and we are ordered to leave this mansion tomorrow, we will not be able to refuse. During the distribution of the inheritance, the relatives might even file a criminal complaint. However, there is no need to worry. We will pay all of the debts before then and restore our honor. As she stood at attention with a resolute attitude, Natsuhi proclaimed that this clearly with Ushumiya Kinzo and Beatrice as witnesses. For a while, they remained silent as though weighing Natsuhi's resolve. Then Kinzo chuckled and turned away. How vexing. Why couldn't this person have been my son? The very fact that a woman with such a disposition married your son is another sign of your good luck. Beatrice, this is my final order. Now that you are no longer the head, I am no longer obligated to obey your orders. Oh. In that case, obey the orders of the new head. You are no longer the head, and Kraus is not yet the head. Whom are you suggesting I serve? I will leave that to you. It is up to you to decide who is qualified to succeed the Ushumiya family head, and who is fitting to bear the mark of the one-winged eagle. You will ensure that it is so. I refuse. I won't listen to the orders of a man who isn't the head. No, this is different. This is a will, the last order that the head left behind for you. Then it seems I will have to obey. After all, I can be quite accommodating. Liar. Oh? You're only doing this because it's caught your interest, aren't you? I can't hide anything from you, can I? Natsuhi. Yes, father. Go and overcome your hardship. Yes. They might have seemed like mere response to Natsuhi, but to Kinzo and Beatrice it seemed to be something of a much greater significance. Beatrice nodded deeply, and with a motion as elegant as her dress, she bowed deeply before Natsuhi. The Ushumiya family alchemist, the golden witch Beatrice, is present. I shall give you my aid to assist the family in overcoming another crisis. Thank you. I will need your power. We will most certainly overcome these trials. I will not hold back on my support for your cause. But there is something I must warn you about beforehand. I understand that your troubles now could be solved if I were to grant you a vast quantity of gold, like I did when I saved Kinzo from his crisis. However, that is something I cannot do. Is that so? Sorry, Natsuhi. Beatrice's gold came from a contract limited to my generation. It was agreed that it could only be passed on to another if that person solves the epitaph. The gold is sealed away by the epitaph. As long as that is not solved, you cannot be given the golden magic. I understand. Then I shall search for another method by which we can save ourselves from this crisis. My husband said his plan would take time, but he also said that it would surely be sufficient to repay our debts. If we can buy enough time for that to happen, we will be able to overcome this trial. Good, Natsuhi. Continue. But Kinzo is already dead. The doctor and servants are preparing his funeral. You were about to contact the family members. By your own hand, you will bring an end to this ploy for time. How charming is the guillotine where you lower the blade yourself. Ah. Startled, Natsuhi looked up at the ceiling. There wasn't actually anything there. But even so, Natsuhi had found something. So, the magical power has descended. Natsuhi, have you made up your mind? What magic of miracles do you desire from me? Once again, all of those who had witnessed Kinzo's corpse were gathered in the study. Kraus was still impatient and clutching at his head. Genji was as expressionless as ever. Nanjo and Kumasawa wore bewildered expressions on their faces. But in the stark contrast to all of them, Natsuhi wore a resolute expression. Here, let me ask you one more time. Your plan for raising money is absolutely certain? Yes. Give it a year. No, just half a year, and it will certainly bear fruit. But it's just impossible to hope for anything right now. Then, we will wait. But you said it yourself. Father is already dead. Father has not passed away. He's still there, as healthy as ever. When Natsuhi said this, everyone jumped and looked up, because they instantly understood what those words meant. However, Kraus alone didn't get it right away and asked her, "What? What do you mean by that? Father's already, in reality, right there." I will say it again. Father is still in good health. He is busy with his research, so he'll be even less able to leave his study than usual. Because of this, we must handle all external affairs ourselves. Oh shit. You know how Kinzo's room always stank of his, alcohol? I bet that was just the smell of death that they couldn't get out of the room. So the father can devote himself to his research without being burdened by meaningless tasks. In short, nothing will change from the way things have been. You understand, Genji? Yes. The furniture of the one-winged eagle will continue to serve the master. Kumasawa? And you, Dr. Nanjo. Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh, is that truly alright, Natsuhi? It may be true that Father passed away today, but if everyone's right here, right now believes, we can revive Father with magic. It's impossible, madam. That's just too much. The time of death will be made clear during the autopsy. We can't stop it from looking suspicious. Yeah, burn the body. The father will not pass away, so there will be no reason for there to be an autopsy. Of course, she wasn't planning on making it seem like Kinzo would live forever. The fake life given to Kinzo could only last until Kraus could repay his debts. After that, Kinzo's soul would finally be able to rest in peace. Nanjo repeatedly said that the time of death would be discovered during the autopsy, but Natsuhi kept saying that this would not be a problem. Father will not pass away by being reported dead. I see. He'll be reported missing. After clapping his hands together, Kraus stood up, shaking his fists. Yes. Once we've managed to pay back the debt and finish our preparation for laying Father to rest, we will then announce that Father has disappeared. Rokkenjima's vast, uncultivated forest was the perfect place to stage a disappearance. One day, Kinzo would go out into the forest for a walk and never return. They would search for him without success, and then be forced to report his disappearance. If he disappears, we can file a report of his death without even a corpse. In other words, we can hide him long enough to have him declared legally dead. What do you think, Nanjo? There won't be any problems that way. Yeah, that might work. Is this really okay? If we stay silent, then I'm sure we can keep the master's death a secret. However, if we were to slip up even once and let someone find out... Kumasawa? Don't be so loud. Father is sleeping right over there, correct? Are you trying to wake him? Oh, Natsuhi's all in. It isn't a corpse. Kinzo is sleeping. And as Natsuhi said that, Kinzo lay quietly on his bed as though there was nothing at all odd about her words. Your ass tweaking, Natsuhi. Come, try to remember. What form did you have? What sort of life did you enjoy? What's she bringing back? Once again, a storm of golden butterflies started to swirl, covering Kinzo's cold body. Then, after the butterflies exploded in fine gold powder and disappeared, just like the fairy tales that have been told over and over since long ago, Kinzo slowly opened his eyes and sat up. Father. Natsuhi. Let me first make one thing clear. I did not coax you into doing this because of my attachment to life. You liar. Don't tell me you didn't anticipate this at least a little. How does it feel, Kinzo? How is your body? It isn't bad, but it feels somewhat like being in a dream. I feel light. You're a being that wasn't permitted to remain in this world, yet you still remain here. Don't start complaining about little discomfort now. Is your body truly alright? Is it really okay? Actually, it feels quite pleasant. If this is what the world after death feels like, playing the ghost might not be half bad. How is this, Natsuhi? Kinzo has revived. That means a funeral is unnecessary. Your hardship has been resolved. Beatrice. As Natsuhi tried to find words of gratitude amidst her confusion, Beatrice wagged her pointer finger and spoke. There's no need for thanks. A ruler is allowed to be proud. I will not pay heed to requests, but I will follow orders. Even so, I'll say it. Thank you. This way, you've brought some time for my husband. We will handle the rest. Be warned, Natsuhi. Kinzo may have revived, but that is not an eternal thing. It will only continue as long as my magic does. Be warned that the magic-resisting toxin may destroy this magic. You must understand the laws of magic correctly and work hard to maintain it. I can show you a miracle, but it is your role to grasp onto it and hold it. Of course. We definitely won't neglect the miracle you have given us. Very well. Yes, it would appear masters need to be changed out every once in a while. Just like floor mats. I like it. I shall serve you, Ushumiya Natsuhi. I am the Ushumiya family alchemist, the Golden Witch Beatrice. Call my name whenever you wish. I shall appear and grant you a miracle. Okay, so Beatrice is working for Natsuhi. I will employ you and protect the honor of the Ushumiya family. Interesting. That is the end of chapter 1. 2, I guess. Oh, the family conference of the previous year is the next segment. We'll have to wait till tomorrow for that. Yeah, I gotta bounce. Apologies, I wanted to do maybe one more chapter tonight, but I gotta bounce. Some came up. We'll be live again tomorrow, probably. 8:30 or 9, like usual. Sounds good. See you tomorrow. Yes, thank you for hanging out, everybody. I'm not going to raid out. I'm just going to end. Go enjoy yourselves, make good decisions, be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you.